Hey, reader, welcome back. This is Centaur, and here we have an after-action report for one of the Mid-Atlantic Regional Competition, or MARC, events that happened literally just today. Chris was so
Woohoo!
gracious to jump on with me literally right after he gets home from the event. And this was Tavern Brawl. It is a 300-point, 6-round tournament. I'm your host, Centaur, and today I am joined by Chris, who helped to organize the event. So, say hello, Chris.
Hey, everybody.
If you haven't had a chance to meet Chris, you really should. He's a cool dude. I had the privilege of getting to play a game against Chris at one of the events that I went to in the twilight of last edition. So loads of fun. I don't very often get down to Fredericksburg, Virginia, to play in events, but I'm hoping to at some point in the near future. We will see. But just as a kind of a quick intro, I don't know, Chris, if maybe you just want to talk a little bit about the event, anything in particular that you saw, just kind of at a 35,000-foot level, and then from there we'll
Sure.
drill down into bigger questions about who won, kinds of armies, that sort of stuff.
So this is our fourth year running Tavern Brawl. I was inspired to start it because I played an event called Tavern Brawl at one of our local Richmond stores, and they were only 15-minute long games. It was on a Wednesday night. We played 3 games, and so that format really struck with me. And I was like, man, how do I turn this into a tournament? So I came up with 45 minutes, 300 points. That's been the standard, and then no heroes over 150 points.
Nice.
Uh, so the new edition, it became a question of whether or not Tavern Brawl could even happen based on the
Mhm.
new rules. And Chris Young and I sat down and figured out how to make it happen, whether it was fathomable for the format to still exist within the new edition, because with only 150 points for a hero, it's going to eliminate some of the lists.
Yeah.
And would there be enough lists still viable that people are going to want to come out and play? And we figured out yes, it would, and we were right. So like I said, Tavern Brawl, 300 points, no heroes over 150, a minimum of 3 models,
Yep.
and 45 minutes, which, in my opinion, really makes for I think, one of the more challenging formats for a tournament, because and also on a 24 by 24 board, so a smaller board.
Mhm.
At 45 minutes, you don't have time to make mistakes.
Yeah.
Really don't even have time to make one mistake. In a 2-hour game, when you make a mistake, especially early in, you're going to be able to recover from that and move on. But in this game, you make one mistake, and that's pretty much it. The game it could be over because of that. Because 45 minutes, it goes by so fast.
Yeah.
You've started the game, and your prep work could take like maybe 5 to 6 minutes of your game away. You're down to 39 minutes left to play the game.
Mhm.
So it's just not enough time. You've got to be on point. You've got to push, and you've got to speed through to get through those objectives, whatever the scenario calls for.
Yeah. On that topic, by the way, Chris has supplied us with the scenarios that they used. Since they were able to get in 6 games, they were able to do one from each pool, which is very, very cool. I think Breakthrough makes a ton of sense. It's not only easy to understand as a scenario, but it kind of rewards you for maneuver warfare, which
No?
helps to avoid the whole gun line situation, which is always nice in a tournament. You have things like To the Death, which doesn't necessarily require you to move out, so that way more archery-based armies will be helped there. And so, kind of as you look further down the line, it is a nice mix, and I like this. And it kind of makes sense just because, again, they're taken from different pools, but, armies that have high mobility are going to be rewarded. Armies that are really good at crushing things are going to be rewarded. There is some tactical gameplay involved in a number of these as well. So honestly, I mean, it's a cool set of scenarios, honestly, and some of the ones that are newer to this edition that we didn't have last edition as well, which is awesome.
Yeah, I wanted to make sure I had included at least 2 brand new scenarios, one from each pool, and it was, I don't know, it's kind of almost like shot in the dark on some of the ones I picked.
Yeah,
I don't, when I looked at what I picked today, because I picked these out a couple weeks ago, I don't know what my thought process was. I was almost got very lucky by some of the stuff I chose.
yeah,
Uh, People, for the most part, I don't think I didn't have one scenario where people were just, were kicking and screaming and saying, "I can't believe you chose this." There are a couple people that are kind of like, "Oh my gosh, that one," but for the most part, I think everybody was pretty pleased with the scenarios.
Yeah. Well, at 300 points, some of them do get a little bit tricky, right? So like, storm the camp. We were actually just talking about this before we jumped on the call. Like there's
Right.
a serious strategic question of, so how many models do I leave behind to defend the camp? How many do I push forward with? And while the board is shorter, that also means like, well, like you were saying earlier, if you make a mistake early on,
Mhm.
you may not have the time to fix it, especially if you're playing one of those armies that moves pretty slow and then you're facing an army that's really fast. You may not be able to catch the guys that are moving
Right.
back and be able to reinforce yourself. So, I think the unique low points level, smaller board with these kinds of scenarios does kind of throw certain questions into sharp relief that you do need to be able to answer quickly, which I think is great. So.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, looking at army details, because we know that there are those nerds out there who really, really want to talk about armies.
Sure.
What three armies came in at the top at the tournament?
So it was very interesting because the people that in my mind I had kind of picked that I thought were going to do really well uh, didn't do as well as I thought they were going to do.
Interesting.
So it was a surprising day for me seeing where things kind of fell through. Um, so first place, I guess, well, third place was Stephen Page.
Okay.
He played Depths of Moria, no named hero. So he had three goblin. He had two goblin captains and a shaman. He did have
Oh,
33 models.
there
So
you
a
go.
little bit of a lot of models on the board to kind of overwhelm his enemies. A good number of prowlers,
Mm.
so a lot of throwing weapons going in, which I'm sure probably helped him. Uh, every time I did watch his games, it was a lot of goblins, and they just stayed on the board. So there's a lot of goblins that were just hanging out there, whereas his opponents were getting dwindled. So yeah, and I shook his hand, and he was like, I think he was shocked and surprised how well he did. He's like, I didn't expect to do this well. So it was fun seeing that happen. Second place was Bruno Del Alamo, and he
Okay.
played the Black Gate. So he did have a more beefier hero set. He did the Mouth of Sauron and a uh, Troll Chieftain.
Yeah, yeah.
So he did well. And then first place was Michael Ireland, and Michael did almost the same thing that Steven did. So he had let's see, a bunch of more goblin captains, tons of prowlers. Yeah, no named heroes again.
Mm,
He had 35 models. So
nice.
another so the goblins did really well in this tournament.
Yeah. Interesting. Kind of preempts what I was going to ask, which is, like we're horde-based armies, really dominant hero hammer style armies, but I guess maybe the hero hammer style forces were a little more capped because of the 150 point maximum for
Yeah,
heroes. So you couldn't bring the Dragon Emperor to just chew through people. You couldn't bring a dragon to just burn everybody, right? So
right.
maybe that's part of it.
So and it's not just because the two goblin the horde armies did well, because there were three hobbit players that came, and they all had between 36 and 37 model count, and none of them took top three. I think they did reasonably well. They're probably more towards let me even check and see real quick where they were in the stats. They took fourth, 10th, and 11th.
Interesting. Hmm. Which among 22 players is actually not bad because they're all in the top half. So not
Yeah.
bad. Cool. Uh, Kind of shifting gears, bottom three armies. Um, did they have anything in common?
No, they were more, I think, more hero minded a little bit. So
Hmm.
coming in last place was actually my son. This is his very first tournament.
Hey,
He had a
nothing
great
wrong with it.
time. He loved
Yeah.
it. He was very excited to get the last place prize.
Yeah.
And he played Thorn, King of the Mountain, with Battle of the Five Armies.
Oh,
I just put
yeah.
together what I thought was be just an easy first time list
Hmm.
where he wasn't having to worry about too many rules and too many
Hmm.
combos with the heroes and the army itself. So just Thorn, some dwarves, and a goat rider.
Yeah.
But so he had a great time with that. Matt Dishner was in 21st spot after Benjamin, and he played some of the Golder fellows, some Sentinels, not
Oh,
Sentinels,
yeah,
like
yeah.
Castellans.
Yeah, the
Um,
Castellans.
so, and then Bob Quinlan was after him, and he played Arwen and some elves. Arwen on horse with Frodo.
Yeah.
So he was relying, I think, a bit on the magic ability of Arwen.
Interesting.
So some more strategic kind of hero based armies there, but didn't didn't pan out as well.
Yeah, it's interesting. Um, and as far as we know, probably nobody else at the tournament had those specific army lists as well, right? Probably
There
maybe
was
one other Iron Hillsy sort of player,
there was
maybe.
yeah there was another Thorin list. He actually took another a Dwarven hero with that list.
That makes sense.
So that was Adrian. He took 13th.
Okay,
He
yeah,
was
yeah. So
13th.
right in the middle. Yeah.
Yeah, he's right in the middle. He was. I'm trying to think. There was another Dwarven list with a Dwarven king, Nick Bruton. He took ninth.
Nice.
So there was other than the three Hobbit lists, and then at least the two Moria goblins. It was kind of spread out a little
Yeah.
bit here and there. James Bruton, who took fifth place, played the Usurpers.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. So brand new
So
to this edition. Yeah.
yeah, another
Hmm.
little minor horde list.
Yeah.
He was actually in contingent for possibly taking first place. He had to go off head to head with Michael Ireland, which they had played
Hmm.
earlier in the tournament. So it was almost like a rematch. But Michael just was able to hold on to his lead
Nice.
and keep the win there. Isildur was around. He showed up.
Mm.
Um, Thranduil's elves was on the table. Trying to think who else was around. So it was just a hodgepodge of stuff after that. Nothing, after the goblins and the hobbits and a couple of the dwarven armies, then it was, just individual lists here and there.
Nice. Well, shout out to my boys taking Shire. Keep it up, guys. May not always win, but it's always fun. There's that. I will say one of the other nice things about having 6 rounds is if you do end up playing in a game where you're like, man, the army that I'm up against is just, it's such a beautiful counter to what I brought. At least
Mm.
you have 5 other games, right? And
Yeah.
so, the chance that you hit a whole bunch of really solid counters every single time is a lot lower. So that at least is
Yep.
really nice. And it's also not a case of just like, well, there were 30 people at the event. If I hadn't hit that specific person, maybe I would have done better because you are playing a decent number of people who attended, which is nice
Mhm.
with the whole 6 round thing. But
And we had 3 other awards
yeah.
other than first, second, third. There was also the Eowyn Award. This is something which I brought back. I retired it for a little while. This is the top player who has never podiumed before.
Oh,
So James Bruton actually took that, which if he had beaten Michael enough to take first place, then he would not have been eligible for this.
right,
Somebody else
right.
would have been bumped. We actually had 11 players that were eligible for this award.
Oh, wow.
So which is really interesting because Chris Young and I have noticed in the past year before this that number has shrunk a lot with the
Mhm.
tournaments we've been seeing the players coming in. A lot of players who are now coming out who have podium before. So that experience is being more widespread, which is great.
Mhm.
It's great for people, to experience that. But it's also nice. That means we're getting a lot more new people who are coming in who are still learning the game. So this is a fun award to give to somebody who is not going to be not necessarily in that top 3 spot from the get go. So
Yeah.
so James took that and he was playing the usurpers list, and so yeah, it was great that he did that. We also had the general hunter. This is the person who's general did the most kills. And Adrian Samuels took that with Thorn Kingdom of the Mountain with 35 kills in 6
Nice.
games. So a lot of free heroic combats, I'm sure, were
Yeah.
really helped out with that. And then We also did a thing called the Grudge Match, which is exclusive to the Tavern Brawl. What we do is the first pairings, everyone's generals, they do a one-on-one fight after their first game.
Mm.
So you've got the two models, and they start basically right next to each other, and it's just a 10-round slugfest.
Yep.
And then they record within 10 rounds which general killed the other. And then players actually vote before the game which general is going to win, and they're guessing the round that they will kill the other general in.
Mm.
And then I tabulate all the scores, and the top two guessers, then they do a final head-to-head fight at the end of the tournament to win the grudge match itself.
Nice.
And the winner ended up being James Bruton, who was playing Wolf.
Yeah.
And he had to fight against his younger brother, Nick, who had a Dwarven King. And it was a really fun match because everyone was around it cheering, and they were cheering for his younger brother, Nick.
Yeah.
And but the older brother pulled it out, and he won. So he actually scored big. He took away $90 in store credit.
That's incredible.
So he may actually walk away with the biggest pocket out of everybody from the tournament.
That's wild. Cool. Well, for anybody who's been looking at the new War of the Rohirrim models, just know, can work, can kill Defense 8, Fight 6 models. There you go.
Yeah.
Which is no easy feat. Dwarf Kings are tough. Those guys are tough nuts to crack. But yeah, one of the other things that we wanted to, kind of talk a little bit about is just the painting scene. Like, were there armies, just beautiful armies that stood out to you? Obviously, it's a game, but there's also a hobby aspect to the game. And so just curious what you're seeing out in the wild.
Well, everything, for the most part, everything was painted, which is always good. This was not a painting required tournament. I do run another tournament where that's much more prominent. I really wasn't paying too much attention. I will say Matt Dishner, who is an excellent painter, his stuff always kind of sticks out to me. So he had painted a Twilight Ringwraith as his Witch King for the Dulguldur model.
Nice.
So it was fun to see a very old model.
Yes, I've only seen one in person before.
And Terry Schaefer was playing the original Thranduil model, the one where he's holding his staff. That's golly, the model is like a decade old, and it was really nicely painted. It really stuck out. So I think those are probably the two big things that stuck out painting wise for me. I mean, a lot of people had some really nice stuff, but just off the top of my head, those two things stick out.
Beautiful. Yeah, and we'll be, for those of you who will be following the series, by the way, we'll be continuing to check in on those because I know some of you guys really do care a lot about the hobby side of things. And then kind of last thing we wanted to talk about is just, rules discussions and plans for the future. So, obviously we're new into a new edition and some of the characters' profiles have changed. Were there any situations where somebody threw a red flag and asked a rules question and you were like, oh, it'd be really sweet if GW answered this for us with something that everybody could know going into an event?
I don't think, for the most part, everything worked out well. There was one question on one of the scenarios. Trying to think which one it was. The question about being wholly within versus being in. So the victory points was to be wholly in an area, but there's also victory points if a hero was just in. And we actually looked at the rule book, and there was a distinction between wholly and being within.
Interesting.
So we did rule in favor of the first distinction of being wholly for those victory points, but then the hero just had to be in, meaning partially just in, did not have to be wholly in. So the scenario was distinctive in its verbiage that we made that call for that particular instance. That was I think one of the biggest things that we had to confer about. Everything else was pretty simple and easy based on People were asking questions based on just their memory of certain things, and just asking us just to verify things were correct or not.
Yeah. No, that's great. That's been my experience too so far. And a lot of the games that I've played, thankfully, things are relatively well worded, outside of chariots and other stuff like that. People always have questions on those.
Yeah, no chariots at this tournament, which that was nice.
Hooray! Love it when that happens. Obviously, this is the fourth year you guys have done Tavern Brawl, and we look forward to seeing a fifth one at some point in the future. Are
Yep.
there some things you would consider doing a bit differently going into a potential future tournament?
Someone did make a comment that maybe I should put a limit on the max number of models
Mm,
allowed. Uh,
it's not a
I,
bad idea.
so, some people have love for the hobbits. Some people hate the hobbits. I think some people, especially there being 3 different hobbit lists, and I
Yeah,
know one gentleman had to play hobbits twice in 6 games.
it's a lot.
So it's a lot. It's a lot of things you have to kill. He did break at least one of those
Mhm.
armies, so he was successful in that. So that's a consideration. We did do the limit of at least 3 models to
Yeah,
keep people from trying to take powerful monsters or heroes in a low point model count.
yeah,
Uh, so yeah, that might be consideration for next year, whether or not to limit, to make it more of a tavern brawl in the sense of smaller armies coming together to duke it out, and not having to worry about you put together a 15 model count, and then you're facing against 35, and it's pretty daunting to go into that game like that.
yeah. Nope. As somebody who has run Shire on many occasions, I wholeheartedly understand. And so I'm sympathetic. I guess one final question for you tonight. Uh, Future events in the works? Anything else that we can be expecting? And obviously not committed to this if, plans change or if things change.
So for me, the 3 big things I do every year, it would be is Tavern Brawl. I run the Merv League, which traditionally starts in it goes through March through April, and that league has been open for Richmond and the Fredericksburg players. It culminates in a tournament called For Frodo, which is at the end of April. That way, it actually keeps people interested in playing the league, because they know they're working towards a tournament where their league points go towards that tournament. Uh, and we actually did a halfway point tournament this past year for that league as well. So we might do that again. So I help run that. I also play that league. I enjoy playing that. And then for me, the big thing I do every year is Bilbo's Birthday Bash, which is a 2-day tournament at the end of May, beginning of June, just depending on the calendar. That just takes so much prep time,
Yeah.
and for me, I start getting ready for that. Um, well, I've actually started getting ready for that right now. I've already gotten some awesome donations. I probably have already collected over probably close to maybe $400 in models that are going to be given away next year. So that's just the beginning of that. So the bash is a monster. It's a lot
Hmm.
of prep work to get that ready and going, but I love doing it because it's just such a fun, awesome event. We had 46 players this past year, which blew me away that we got that many people. So um, I'm hoping that we can kind of keep that going with that 2-day event. Those are the big things that I do every year. Uh, Being in Richmond, I've noticed there's definitely a shift in tournament focus. I think going towards Fredericksburg and Northern
Mm,
Virginia. Richmond, right after COVID, was the hot spot for tournaments, because
hmm.
not many people were running stuff for the Nova area and Fredericksburg area. And so we kind of had a little bit of a nice little run for a while, where we were running a good number of events and getting a lot of people from Nova coming down to play. But since COVID, probably now, since 2019 and beyond, I've noticed that shift has gone more towards Fredericksburg and
Mm-hmm.
Northern Virginia, the Potomac,
Mm-hmm.
even the Maryland area, which is great for all those players there because it's a lot closer to them. I kind of miss having some more great events in Richmond.
Yeah.
So I'm always looking for the possibility of maybe adding stuff, but I'm hoping to encourage other people to TO that because I would like to play in them and not just be one of the few guys. I think Chris Young and I both can kind of say we don't want to be the only two guys who are,
Yeah.
uh, running events in Richmond because it does get tiresome and does you want to play, So that's kind of some of the things I've seen shift wise in the game for the Richmond players.
No, that makes sense. As somebody who has, organized a decent number of events and who is kind of a forever GM for role play games, I get it. It is kind of nice to be able to play in it too, and not just be the guy who's always managing things. And healthy too, for a league if you're continually training new tournament organizers and people are just trying their hands at it and just giving it
Mm.
a go. So if you find that you're in the area, if you're around the Richmond area or somewhere else in the world, who cares? Don't be afraid to try an event. And there are people out here, and I'm sure that, we here at TMAT, we would love to help connect you with guys who can help you out with that. Like, there are people who have experience who have run these things. We'd be glad to give you future advice on what's going on here. And so,
Yeah.
I guess with that, Chris, just any last comments you want to make about the fourth annual Tavern Brawl?
Just a big thank you again to Chris Young for helping me out. I could not have done it without him. Thank you for all the players who came out. Everybody seemed to have a great time, which is why I love doing these events. I love running events that I would want to play in. So that's always inspired me. I've been running events since the first Nova Open. That inspired me to begin TOing and running events in Richmond. So I've learned. I've run some pretty crummy events. I've run some good events. So you just learn with everything, and hopefully I didn't insult anybody with this, any name drops. But they're great players
Yeah.
all around. Everybody was good, and excited to have people there. And I'm hoping that they'll come back out next year.
Awesome. Well, thank you for all that you're doing for the community, Chris. Thank you for helping to show the beautiful different variations of what we can do with this game. It doesn't just have
Yeah.
to be a 500 to 800 point match. The beauty of being able to get in so many different games, so you can play a wide variety of armies, you can meet a lot of different people. Just really, really grateful for having guys like you who will do something a little bit different in the scene every
Oh,
year.
and one more quick shout out for what's coming up.
Yes.
So next weekend in Fredericksburg is the first escalation event that with John Schlosser is running that with Chris Young. There is still space available, so definitely if you're interested in that, it's an awesome event. It's the first of 3 tournaments, one in October, November, and December. I myself, I can't make the first one, but I plan on being in the second and the third one. I know that Austin Featherstone is also running an event in Maryland in October. It has not been posted yet.
Yeah.
November is already packed. There's a lot happening
There's
in
like 4 or 5
November.
events going on.
Yeah, we just the escalation event is happening.
Mhm.
I know that Tom Schutz is running a really big event on the 22nd, and then also a TO named Talon in Mechanicsville, Virginia, in the Richmond area, is also running an event on 11/22 as well, which will probably be a smaller local kind of Richmond event, but be a fun time as well.
Nice. A lot of things hopping going on around here. In fact, actually later on, by the time this posts, within the next couple of days after that, we'll be doing the next MARC monthly roundup. So we'll be taking a look at a bunch of those events coming up. But yeah, just thank you so much, Chris, for your time. Thank you for giving back to the league. Thank you for growing it into what it is. And we're looking forward to the next event. Should be a lot of fun.
Thanks.
Alrighty. If you have any questions about the Mark League, you can find stuff on Facebook. A number of us are watching the pages, the various pages, but we mostly post in the American Strategy Battle Game group. But yeah, if you have questions about the Mark, just let us know. We're glad to help answer them. We'll connect you guys with people like Chris, who's now on the board, and helping out with all of our stuff. Well, Chris Young is helping out with a lot of stuff on the board, and we'd be glad to help you there. But once again, thank you so much to Chris. Have a great evening, and we'll talk to you guys very soon.
Bye bye. See ya.